Hi, welcome to Paper to Pearls, and I'm Jilly. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pretty paper rose, perfect to either give to somebody or to use for your own home decor. A bunch of these looks lovely, they last forever and they're cheaper than any you buy in the shops. And if you're missing that rose smell, there's no reason why you couldn't just spray them occasionally with some rose essential oil or something like that to give them that scent. I'm using book paper because that's my thing, but you don't have to. You can reuse any kind of paper for these. So that would include things like wrapping paper. You could use advertising leaflets. It's up to you. You could do what's you. So let's get started. These roses are very simple to make and they don't need a lot of equipment. All you need are 3 pages or 3 pieces of paper to cut up into your squares, and I'm sure it doesn't need to say that the larger your paper, the larger your squares, the larger your rose will be. As well as that, you're going to need something to make your rose on. Now you can either use a wooden dowel, quite a thin wooden dowel. I'm not quite sure how thick this one is, but it's only a couple of millimeters. Or you can use actual florist wire like this, which is available in white or green. This one is 18 gauge because it's quite firm, so it's not going to go floppy, but it's still got that flexibility that you can bend it if you wish. I didn't particularly want to use this white against the book paper because it looked rather stark, so instead I simply coloured it using an old cold tea bag. Just wiped it up and down a couple of times, let it dry, and you can see how well it's taken the colour on. One tip, if you're buying these wires, look for the paper covered ones. They are slightly more expensive than the plastic ones, but they have the advantage for this at least that you can colour them, but also because they're covered with paper, it's easier to stick the rose petals onto them when we come to assemble the rose. So you've got your paper, you've got your stem, you need 2 more things. You need scissors and you need some PVA glue. Fairly strong if possible, and I really like this one because it comes with this nozzle which makes it really easy to apply accurately, but whatever you like to use is fine. So let's get started. First thing, I don't want this white edge on my roses, so I'm just going to very quickly trim that off. Doesn't need to be too accurate because in the next stage I'm going to be shaping my petals, but I just prefer to get rid of it now. So next I need to make some squares. So keeping my 3 sheets together, I'm sure you all learnt this trick at school. Just fold it across diagonally and then cut across. For this, your squares don't have to be super accurate, so you just need that rough shape. I'm going to do a very simple bit of folding now. So just going to pause while you cut your shapes. And just say, if you don't already know, my name's Jilly and my business is called Paper to Pearls, and my real specialism is taking old books and sheet music and turning it into all sorts of jewellery and accessories. But that should have given you time, so let's keep going. Place your 3 sheets down, just keep them all together, and you're going to fold in half one way, turn it round, in half the other way, so it's gone back in, so it's made a smaller square. Yeah, you got that? So half and then half again. And now we're going to fold the diagonals. So you've got a fold here. Take one end and fold up to there. And you've got one up to there. If that's a bit complicated, not quite fold that, there is an easier way to do it, which is simply to fold the whole thing across diagonally, so that you've got a triangle. And the most important thing for this next stage is that this corner, where everything is folded together, hold on to that, because you do not want to cut that edge of the paper. Now you're going to cut a curved shape. So if you want to, not quite confident, you can just pencil it in. Doesn't need to be exact. That's one of the joys of these. I don't know if you can see that there. I've just done it very lightly. I don't usually bother. And then you're going to cut through all those sheets of paper with your scissors. And now we're going to open that out. And you've got 3 identical flowers of paper. So that should quite simple so far. And I'm just going to give you a chance to do that, because I know I hate it on videos where people are going through so quickly. You don't have a chance to catch up, or a chance just to pause it, do that bit before it goes on too fast. So now we've done that, you just need your scissors again. Take up one piece and you're just going to cut out 1/8 or 1 petal section. Don't throw it away, because you're going to need it in a little while. The next one, we're going to cut out 2. So 1/4 or 2 of the petal sections. And last of all, if you haven't already tried this, we're going to cut out 3 of those petal shapes. So there. And they're quite easy to cut, because you can use the folds to show you where you need to cut. So there we are. Next stage, you're going to need your glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate one. Just pause the video, and then I'm going to do a bit more so you can catch up. So first of all, take the biggest one, and on one petal you're just going to put some glue. Don't soak it. I know it's very easy to do that with PVA glue. Bring the 2 pieces together and just stick them together, so you've made your first layer of petals. So you're going to repeat that for both of these pieces, and then I'll be back to show you what to do after that. So if you want to pause your video, now's a good time. So hopefully you've now got your first 3 layers of petals together, and we're going to do these smaller ones. These we're going to assemble slightly differently. Instead of covering the whole of a petal with the glue, we're just going to put the glue along one edge, you see, and then just curl so that it just goes over onto the other side, and push it down. Sometimes this can be a bit fiddly to do, so if it is a bit fiddly, you can always just use a pencil or something just to push it down at the bottom. So like that. So again, with this one, glue along one edge and then curl it over. So I'll pause again and let you do those petals. So now you've assembled your petals. Next stage is you're going to need to cut a hole into the bottom of each of your petals. The size will depend on what you're using for your stem, because obviously the dowel is thicker than the wire. And try not to cut too large a hole. Sometimes you can't help it, but if you try to keep it fairly small and neat, it will help with the assembly. And don't forget, if it is too small, you can always cut it to be a bit larger later. So, stick my scissors again and cut a small hole. That one needs to be a tad larger. That's it. And the bottom. These smaller ones are easy. It gets trickier as the petals get larger. So what I tend to do is just fold the petals up again, because then I've just got that smaller area to snip through to make my hole. So all you're doing now, as I said, is just cutting the holes in the base of the flowers. There's another one. And once you've done that, I'll be back to show you the next stage. So if you look at my Blue Peter, here's one I made earlier, rose, you'll see that we've got a nice gentle curl on the outside of the petals, and that's what we need to add now. Don't worry about these middle two petals, definitely not this pair, and these ones you can leave if you're finding this stage too fiddly. How you curl the petals is up to you. Some people like to use a pencil to rub them around. Some people will perhaps use scissors to get them into shape. For me, I find the easiest way is just to use my fingers and just roll the petals down a couple of times like that. So I just get the top. This is the one where I've stuck the two layers together, so it's a bit thicker. And just roll them down. And because we're making a flower, it doesn't matter if they're not all identical. So there we are. There's my first section with all my rolled petals down. So I'll just show you how I did it one more time, and then I'll give you a chance to catch up. This stage, I find you either go right perfectly first time, or you find yourself fiddling about for a while to get them to curl up nicely. But like everything else, once you get the knack, it's usually quite simple. And it's just use whatever suits you best. I find it hard to use a pencil, so I use my fingers. That's what works for me. Okay, so just need to finish curling those petals and I'll be back with you. So hopefully you've got that done. And now you've got your petals all curled up. We just need to sort these layers into order. And we're going to do the exciting bit, which is assemble our rose. I'm going to use a piece of floral wire. And again, just need your PVA glue, or whatever glue you've decided to use. In this stage, you could possibly do using a glue gun if that's what you prefer, but I just find PVA glue the easiest thing. And I must admit, when I use a glue gun, I do tend to get those annoying tails of glue. So first layer on, and then you just put glue around the bottom. Not too much, because you don't want it getting soggy. And in turn, you put on each layer of petals. So there. So this really is the quick stage. After all your work, the actual rose comes together very quickly. I'm nearly there now. Just got to give it a gentle squidge and then put on my final layer of petals. And there you are. Your paper rose is complete. If you fancy having a go, then please do. They are great fun to make and really versatile. I have got a kit to make these for sale on my website. It comes with paper from your choice of book from my range, or from my 1930s encyclopedia or medical dictionary, if that's what you fancy. And it comes with your choice of either floristry wire or wooden dowel to put your roses onto. And just in case you're worried about forgetting, it would also include a leaflet with instructions on how to make them, as well as a link to this video. So I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make paper roses with me today. And if you're a certain age, I wonder how many of you have got that Marie Osmond song going round in your heads. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing it. So bye for now, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.